Hey friends, it's Judy Klock here at Stampin' with Crafty Klock here in Middletown, Virginia, and I'm coming to you tonight for another quick video tutorial. I hope that you are well. Easter is just like 4 days away, so we're going to play with that excellent eggs one more time and create a couple of really fun Easter cards with maybe some techniques that you haven't seen before. So without any further ado, let's switch our cameras, which I always forget to do. Let's just move that. So now my desk is big. I can't get this thing straight. That looks kind of straight. Okay. So I have this pumpkin paper here because we're going to get a little messy with some alcohol spritzing. It does say better than a box full of puppies for paper pumpkin. I don't know about that. A box full of puppies is pretty good, but paper pumpkin might be a close second. So let's take a look at what I've got for you tonight. So this is a fun little tutorial using our Stampin' Blends markers, a little bit of rubbing alcohol in one of our spritzers. And you'll notice I've labeled this alcohol so that I know when I pick it up, it's not my water spritzer. So you might want to, if you're going to do this technique, make sure you put a label or some way of knowing what's in your spritzer, because you don't want to use the wrong spritzer. And then we've got, this is just such a fun little card using that excellent eggs. And it's just a little chick that's hatched. And look, I had a little bit of feathers there, a little bit of fluff for his head. And I used the Ladybug Builder Punch to create our chick. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you're like me, you hate to waste things that you could maybe repurpose for something else. So if you'll notice, many of our, and I've lost it, I don't know what I did with it. Many of our photopolymer sets come in like with a hard piece of plastic that's kind of like a window sheet and then a much thinner film. So if you take them off the back of this hard plastic and stick them in your case, I don't know if I have anything that I could show you. You'll see that, you've got that extra piece of plastic. Here's exactly what I'm talking with. So this is a new one. So it's got this filmy piece on top, and then it's got this other, like a harder piece. It's almost like a window sheet, right? That the stamps are on. And if you peel them off and if you put them on your case, you're left with that piece of window sheet, like paper. So I'm not one to throw these out. I saved them. And that's what we're going to use to make this technique. So, excuse me, pollen is so bad lately, and my allergies are killing me. So I've kind of just got a whole bunch of my Stampin' Blends here, and I pulled the dark ones for all of the colors. So I have dark Highland Heather, and you'll notice I'm just going to scribble some purple on there, right? I'm going to come in here with some, this is Granny Apple Green, dark Granny Apple Green. Let's come in here with some, this is dark Azure Afternoon. Okay, it's easier to see if I don't kind of do it on the red. Then we've got Flirty Flamingo, right? Don't you just love that noise? Oh. And then we've got some dark Daffodil Delight. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of come on here, make sure I get all of my window sheet covered. Okay, again, this is like so easy. It can be a little messy, so you just want to be, make sure you have, that's why I have like the paper down here. All right, so I've got all my colors on there. Let me just cap these real quick. Right, always good to close up your supplies after you've used them, so they don't dry out. Now I'm going to take my alcohol spritzer and I am going to spritz my alcohol ink with my spritzer. And this is why I had that. Now I'm just going to kind of make sure I want kind of the colors to kind of blend and run a little bit, right? Kind of like a little bit of a tie-dye. And run a little bit this way. And you can always add more alcohol if the stuff isn't behaving. All right, and then when you think you've got it, and there's no right or wrong way to do this, I'm going to take my heat tool and I am going to, if I can get it here, it's going to get a little bit noisy. I'm going to take my heat tool. I'm just going to kind of very carefully add a little heat to get that ink to dry. Okay. So we're not going to do the whole thing because it's going to take a little bit of time, but you get the idea. So let's put this one aside for now. Can I put it where it's not going to get on anything? And I've already done one. So I've done one early. I did one earlier, right? So that we could just kind of get right to the tutorial, but you get the idea. So now I've got a piece of our basic white that I cut to 4 inches by 10.5, and I've scored it at 5 1/4. Okay, so 4, 10.5, scored it at 5 1/4. I'm going to come in here. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this because this is kind of wet now. All right, I'm going to take our Memento Tuxedo Black, and I'm going to take the decorative egg from our set. Actually, I do want to bring that back in here for a minute. Let's fold it in half, and we'll just put the side that's kind of dry because I'm actually going to be stamping off, and I don't want to get it on my glass mat because then the ink will transfer on to other projects, and then you have a big mess, and that's no fun. So we're just going to randomly stamp this egg image on the front of our card. Okay, no big deal. Just get it on there as best as you can, as many times as you can. Okay, and then we're going to adhere this piece. Well, first, before we do that, we're going to take our, we have a piece of balmy blue here that is 5.5 by 4 1/4. And this, I cut this window sheet to 4 1/4 by 6, and I put a score line at 5.5 inches because we are going to glue this right to the back of our balmy blue. Okay, but I forgot to bring I was going to use, what do you call that? Tear and tape, which I don't have. So I'm going to put a row of, a line of our Stampin' Seal Plus on here. Okay, because this is really just as good as tear and tape. It's a pretty good hold. Okay, so I'm going to go right across the top with that. I'm going to just kind of slide it in, make sure my edges are even. Right, looks good. And then I'm just going to fold this down. And then I'm going to take our paper bone, and I'm just going to kind of make sure that we get that. Okay. And there we have that. Now we're ready to add this. I'm just going to, I do want to stamp Happy Easter on the inside. So let me grab that for a minute. All right, we're going to stamp Happy Easter. Okay. And if you wanted to embellish it, you could stamp, where's that little bunny? Let's stamp the little bunny on the inside. Let's just go ahead and go for broke. Stamp him in there. And then we could color him in later if we wanted to. All right, let's close that up. Let's go ahead and add some Stampin' Seal on the back of our white insert. Now we're just going to, again, just kind of put that up there by the top. It doesn't have to be exactly even. Okay. And there you have your card. So the white background, right, allows you to see that technique that you did with your Stampin' Blend markers and the alcohol ink, the alcohol, spritzer. And then we dried it. And then you've got the eggs that are all different colors. So you can embellish this any way you want. You could add some ribbon. You could add some gems. You could do whatever you want to do. I'm just going to kind of leave it plain and just kind of let it go like that. Okay, now for our next card, for our next trick, we're going to make this adorable little cracked egg. Okay. So I've got here a piece of our bubble bath. It is 8.5 by 5.5. I have scored it at 4 1/4. I have 2 pieces of our basic white. Both are 5 1/4 by 4. I have a piece of our Lighter Than Air designer series paper. This is 4 by, I think, 2. Yeah, this is 4 by 2. 4 by 2. And then I've already die cut 2 eggs. I cut one out of soft sea foam and I embossed it with the 3D and Basics embossing folder. And this is like that dot one, and I forget what it's called, but it has a very specific name. And I cannot think of what the name is right now. And then I've die cut another piece of that Lighter Than Air DSP with, again, the egg die cut. And then we're going to cut a piece of the new, this is the new Basic Beige. We're going to cut it with our egg shape. And I just used the smaller egg shape for all of them. And then we're going to use that Rick Rack one to give us that cracked egg look. All right. So before we do that, let's go ahead and stamp our inside. Okay. We're going to stamp Happy Easter on the inside with, again, one of those little bunnies. And we're going to use the new Basic Beige. So this is one of the new colors. It does not, belong to a color family. This is kind of a standalone, much like Basic Black is, or Very Vanilla, or Basic White. It's just another basic color to add to that kind of basics palette. Okay. Some people said it reminds them of Sahara Sand a little bit, maybe. I think Sahara Sand, I don't know, had like maybe a little bit more gray in it. But anyway, we're going to do our beige. This definitely, I think, has a little bit more brown in it. And I took my little marker here, and I just kind of dabbed some pink on his ears just to kind of, jazz it up just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. All right. Now we're ready. We can go ahead and add this. I don't know why, for some reason, this one is tearing up my cardstock today. I did that on the on my sample card too. I can't even think. Okay, so we're going to put that on the inside. Okay, that's our inside. It's pretty easy, right? Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take this. We're going to add our piece of designer series paper to the front. Okay, and again, this is just 4 inches by 2 inches. So pretty basic cut. And we want to make sure that I'm going to have this go all the way to the left end. And I didn't get it there before I let it adhere. Yikes. That's why sometimes liquid glue is the better choice. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and put that on our card. Let's stamp it first. I'm going to stamp Thinking of You. Again, I'm going to use our Basic Beige. Okay, everything tonight is, at least for this card, is going to be with our Basic Beige. Okay. Let me just close that up because I think, well, actually, we're going to use it again in a little bit. But let's go ahead and add this to our card front. Okay. There we go. All right. That's that. Now we're just going to go ahead and add this. This I am going to use liquid glue. So funny story. This was I got this when I went to Onstage. We did a Crafter Math event when Onstage was over, put on by another demo. So this was on the table as a little table gift. So it's sitting down here on my workstation. And my daughter comes down and she goes, "What are you doing, shots while you're crafting?" Because she thought it was a shot glass because the glue wasn't in it. I said, no, it's a glue holder. So we had a pretty good laugh over that. So I am not doing shots when I am down here crafting. I am actually using it to hold my multi-purpose liquid glue as it was intended. But I just thought that was funny. When she was little, like in elementary school, they were doing a class project on like your heritage, and we're part Italian, so she wanted to make cannoli. So we made, I said, all right, I'll make cannolis for the class. You can bring it in, because the kids had to bring in like a food to share. So the cannoli recipe, the cannoli shell recipe calls for like, I don't know, like 2 tablespoons of a white wine, a dry white wine. So I went to this, I didn't want to buy like a whole big bottle. So I bought one of those like single serving bottles of wine, like 6 ounces. So I put the wine in the recipe that I was making. And then, I said, no point in this going away. So I put it in a glass and I drank it. My daughter comes down, she goes, "You drank that whole bottle of wine?" Yeah, I did. All in one sitting too. I drank that whole 6-ounce bottle of wine in one shot. So it was just a funny little thing. We still laugh to this day about that, about how I drank a whole bottle of wine all by myself. Oh my goodness. The kids say the funniest things. It's so funny what they pick up on. But that was just one of so I don't know why she has this image of me, like, being like some kind of drunk or something, but I guess. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my sandwich. I've got my mini stamp cut and emboss. I'm going to add my plate 1, plate 2, my cardstock, my die, my second plate 2, and I am just going to run this through. Okay. All right. And now we've got that adorable little egg cut in our basic beige. But now we're going to take this some people call it a rickrack die. Some people call it a zigzag die. You can call it whatever you want. But I'm just going to kind of put that on my egg. And I'm going to run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay. So now you can see I've had the die going, I don't know if you can see it, right across, take that off. There you can see it. Just that die going right across my egg. So I'm going to be left with, maybe, we'll see. I should be left with a top half, a bottom half, and son of a gun, it didn't cut all the way through. All right, let's bring this back for a minute. That's amazing because it did it earlier, but sometimes I guess I just didn't have enough oomph. All right, all right, we're going to make sure this puppy is cut. All right, so now we've got the bottom half, the top half, and then you are left with a piece, and that's in the die. It's like going to be like a zigzaggy, rickracky type of piece that you can use somewhere else. You can do it wherever you want to do with it, but that's the piece that you are left with. Okay. Now I wanted to sort of age my egg a little bit. So I took a blending brush and I took some of our basic beige and I just, especially kind of like around where the egg cracked, I kind of wanted to just add a little bit of like color and just kind of, make it look like it was an egg, like just, something that a chick would have just come out of. Okay. So now we've got our egg. Okay. So there we go. Just add as much or as little as you want with the basic beige. But it does look just a little bit like it was aged, just a little bit. Now we're going to take our Ladybug Builder Punch, and I am going to just cut out the bug body. Okay. And I am going to remove, a little surgery here. We are going to cut off these antlers. Okay, just follow along. Okay. Now, I had some of these yellow feathers just in my craft stash. I don't know what I had bought it for, but I've got like bazillion things down here that I have them. I don't know why I have them, but I have them. So I just kind of ripped off a piece, right? Because I just thought it'd be so fun to kind of give him a little a little tuft of hair. So we're going to put a little Stampin' Seal there. We're going to stick this on. Okay, we do have to trim it just a little bit. I'm going to kind of twist it together a little bit. Hopefully, kind of make it a little. And then we're just going to kind of trim it. Trim it down, trim that yellow hair down. Okay. And now we've got our little, we still got a big long one. Got to trim that down. But we've got our little chickie with just a little bit of that soft chickie fuzz. All right, we're going to add him to the back of the egg. I'm just going to put some seal there. I'm going to stick him coming up. Let's take our markers. I've got a black Stampin' right here. I'm going to give him two little eyes, just two little dots. And then I'm going to take my yellow one, and I'm just going to give him a little as tiniest beak. There we go. All right. Now we're ready to add our little chickie to the front. So this I'm going to place down with just some Stampin' Seal. I'm not going to pop it up. I'm just going to place that down. Okay. And now this, the other half of our egg, I will put that on some dimensionals. Okay, so we're going to pop that up. This can just go off to one side because as he comes up, it falls off and it cracks off and it just falls down. So just put that wherever you want it, however you want it to go. And then we can finish it up with some twine or some linen thread. We can just create a little bow. Let's go with some white maybe. And let's just make a little bow for our egg. All right, we just got a little twiny bow. Okay, we'll just trim it. Hang on, let's trim it. These are not the sharpest of my paper snips. I gotta get my other sharper pair back over here. Okay, and then we're just gonna add a little glue dot. And this can go wherever you want it to go. And the one thing I did clean up was I did put all my embellishments away. So I have no embellishments on my work table here. But if I did, I would add some embellishments. Or maybe add some rainbow dots or something just to kind of jazz it up just a bit more. And I don't know where my dot went. There it is. It's stuck on my finger. This one does not want to stick on my paper. Let's see if we can get that glue dot on there. There we go. Let's see. All right. Let's see if we can get that on there. Ah, still doesn't want to stay. My goodness. Let me see if I can stick that on there. Maybe. There we go. Barely. And that is our second card. But isn't that cute with the little tiny tuft of feathers coming out? So those were our two cards. A new way to use our blender, our stamping blends, our alcohol stamping blends with some alcohol spritzing, and then just some fun die cuts and our repurposed ladybug punch to make a little chickie for Easter. That's it for me, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would go down below and just click on that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you'll be notified when I upload new content. And that's it for me. I'll see you next week. Happy stamping. Bye now.